My brother is marrying someone who made my life hell for through our entire teens. Started age 12 and continued into college. Unfortunately, we were in the same one. She was like 20 before she stopped bullying me. And she went out of her way to do it in college too, going as far as almost stalking me over it. She almost got thrown out of college, which might have been what stopped her in the end. I was able to avoid her for the rest of college and didn't see her again for a few more years. My brother is a year older and knew all about the stuff she put me through, as did our parents. So when he brought this girl home as his girlfriend a couple of years ago, I was so hurt. My sister asked him what he was thinking and how could he do that to me. He said she grew up and that's allowed and we should be willing to give her a shot. I walked out. My parents and brother were upset at my refusal to give her a chance and asked why I wanted to hurt our family. They said my sister walked out after calling this girl all sorts of names and making it clear she saw her as trash and someone who couldn't be a good person. She also called our brother out for having no family loyalty and said his dick is clearly all he really cares about. My relationship with my brother and parents hardly exists now. I have seen them 4 times since that day. They have reached out via phone, but I made it clear I had no desire to mend things with that girl, and I saw it as a betrayal toward me to accept her and expect me to treat her as family. My sister has stood by me. She is also mostly estranged from our parents and brother. The last time I saw them was in June, at a family birthday party. During a quiet moment, my brother told me he was getting married and our parents were standing by to jump in. I told him to save himself the money inviting me because I won't be attending and I walked away. So where this issue comes in. The most popular local florist is my best friend's mom. And she's known to have a special package for friends and family for weddings, etc. One piece in particular she only does for people she's close to. My brother and his fiancée want her to be the florist for their wedding and they want the bonuses of the special package. But they don't have a good relationship with her. However, I do. So my brother called me up. I ignored his call. So he sent a text asking me to do a favor and ask about the special package for them. I said no and told him to leave me alone. He reached out again and asked. My parents then got involved. I told them I wanted nothing to do with this wedding and would never help make the day special for them. I was told I had taken all of this too far and a small favor should not be such a big deal. That I am destroying these relationships and will one day regret it over something so small.
Comment 1. NTA, but it might be worth it to call the florist, if you're close enough, and say you're not referring your brother for any special deal for his wedding if he calls and says you are. If this sheds your brother in a worse light to the florist, it would be a real shame if she decided she couldn't do the flowers for their wedding at all. Just saying. Comment 2. Have either of these people ever attempted to apologize to you? A real apology, acknowledging, with specifics, the harm and hurt they inflicted on you? It is not a small favor to ask you to use your influence and good reputation to gain special consideration they wouldn't otherwise be entitled to. And that's even without the fact that you have pretty good reasons to refuse doing even small favors for him. NTA. OP comment. My brother never has. I don't know if she was ever willing to try because I do not speak to her and actively avoid interactions with her. I, 27F, have been with my husband, 31M, for 5 years, married for 3. We have 2 young children together, 2M and 4 months F. Before we got married, we signed a prenup, which we both agreed on to protect our assets and ensure our relationship was built on love and not finances, as he makes way more money than I do, think 90k/year versus 500k/year, but I have more premarital assets. I'm donor conceived, and I found out a few years ago that I'm a carrier of a genetic disorder due to fertility fraud. The clinic that helped conceive me used a different donor than what my parents had selected, and that donor passed the building blocks of an X-linked genetic disorder. Because of this, when my husband and I decided to start a family, we chose to use IVF to ensure our children wouldn't inherit the disorder, which can be deadly. We also opted to have paternity tests done, not because of any doubts about fidelity, but to make sure there was no mix-up with the embryos, given my own history and our mistrust in the fertility industry. My brother-in-law, husband's brother, 35M, has very traditional views and is a bit of a conspiracy theorist. Recently, he's been using our decision to do paternity tests as an example of why all men should demand them, claiming that if women have nothing to hide, they shouldn't object. He often says, even embryo thrower was okay with it, so why shouldn't other women be? He constantly says stuff like this in front of his fiancée. This really bothers me for several reasons. First, our decision had nothing to do with trust or fidelity, it was about avoiding the kind of fertility fraud that happened to me. Second, I feel like he's twisting our experience to fit his narrative, which is misleading and unfair. Third, it's in front of his fiancée and must make her feel awful and that he expects her to cheat. Lastly, I don't appreciate being used as a pawn in his arguments, especially when it comes to something as personal as our family planning decisions. I've asked him multiple times to stop bringing us up in his conversations, but he just brushes me off and says I'm being too sensitive. My husband supports me, but he thinks I should just ignore his brother, as confronting him might only make things worse. A few days ago, my brother-in-law brought it up again at a family dinner and made sure to tell his fiancée that she should expect a paternity test to be completed before he even interacts with their future children, and I snapped. I told him in front of everyone that he needs to stop using me as an example in his arguments, and that our situation is completely different from what he's talking about. I also said that his insistence on pushing this narrative is disrespectful and hurtful not only to us, but to his fiancée. He got really upset and accused me of embarrassing him in front of the family. Now, some of my in-laws think I was too harsh and that I should have just ignored him like my husband suggested and avoid rocking the boat. Comment 1. NTA He got really upset and accused me of embarrassing him in front of the family, but he has no problem constantly bringing up your very personal situation and embarrassing you in front of the family. He's a hypocrite as well as just being a complete a-hole. Comment 2. NTA He embarrassed himself because his whole family are cowards who refuse to tell him when he's being an R. Tell your husband firmly that you will not ignore when people use you like that, and you're incredibly disappointed in him for expecting you to, and for not standing up for you himself. You are not the one rocking the boat, your Bill is. Just because his whole family have oriented their lives around steadying the boat doesn't mean you have to. I 42F got married 24 years ago. I decided that if I had a daughter, I would pass the dress and accessories on to her. I chose a simple, elegant dress, rather than what was fashionable at the time, because I wanted something timeless that people could wear for generations to come. I had my son Mark, now 22, a year after, and his father passed away when he was young. I raised Mark as a single mom for several years. I decided that when Mark married, I would give my dress and accessories to his wife. When I was 33, I met Rob, now 52. I fell in love with him and we quickly married. He became a great father figure for Mark, and I was so excited to have a stepdaughter, Molly, now 24F. My relationship with Molly had a rocky beginning. I've been patient and gentle with her. I've offered to take her shopping or get her nails done. I asked Rob about her favorite foods and made sure to cook those. She made it clear that she didn't see me as her real mom. Years passed, and I never changed the way I treated Molly. My door was always open for her, but she never changed the way she thought about me. She called me a trophy wife to my face. If I ever threw a charity event, she would remark, "Wow, you're so generous with Dad's money." While she didn't say anything explicitly, I could tell she looked down on me for not having a college degree. A couple years ago, I made a final offering to Molly. I brought her into my closet and showed her the dress and accessories and told her I would love for her to wear them at her wedding. Some alterations would have to be done. I am 5 feet 9 inches and a size 4, while Molly is 5 feet 4 inches and a size 8, but we could make it work. Molly scoffed and said I had archaic values and that the dress was trashy, and walked out. That really hurt because she knew what that dress meant to me and she didn't care. After that, I stopped making as much of an effort to build a relationship with her. 2 months ago, Mark proposed to his college sweetheart Lucy, with whom I have a great relationship. When Lucy mentioned dress shopping, I showed her my dress. Lucy tried it on and it fit like a glove. She fell in love with it, and I told her the dress, shoes, and accessories were hers. She was so happy she literally cried. However, a couple days ago, Molly reached out to me out of the blue to ask if the dress was still available. I told her I had given it to Lucy. She asked if I could get it back from Lucy, since I offered it to her first, and I told her 1, she said she didn't want it, 2, it fits Lucy perfectly, and 3, Lucy is the only one getting married within the foreseeable future. Now Molly is saying I'm favoring Lucy over her because she's conforming to traditional standards of femininity, getting married and being thin. That's absolute baloney, but it got me thinking that if the roles were reversed and Lucy was the one asking for the dress after initially turning it down, would I give it to her? Is Molly right that I'm favoring Lucy? Comment 1, NTA. Molly only wants it because Lucy has it. Lucy recognized how precious this dress was to you and treated it accordingly. Molly turned her nose up in an attempt to hurt you. Lucy accepting the dress sounds like a wonderful bonding moment for you both. Cherish the memory and ease your mind, you've done nothing wrong. Edit to say if Molly isn't getting married, I wouldn't put it past her to take the dress to cut up into something else. Comment 2. This is the answer. She found out that you gave it to Lucy, so now she says she wants it. Listen, she's just going to cut it up and throw it in your face anyway if you give it to her, breaking yours and Lucy's hearts at the same time. Avoid any drama. What's done is done. Comment 3. NTA. Why did Molly even reach out to you about the dress, given that she's not getting married? What does she even want to do with something she considers trashy? It's obvious that she only wanted to hurt you here because she knew you were giving it to someone else. It has no meaning to her other than as a way to hurt you. You've already given the dress away, so you're done here. I'm 30M, the oldest of 5, and my siblings are 28F, 27M, 25M and 23F. Our parents were always generous with giving money when asked for it, except when it was me. I was told I should learn to work hard. I was told I didn't need the new video game or toy. I was told earning money was the only way I'd ever have money, and I hadn't earned money from them. But my siblings could get whatever they wanted. When I first graduated college, I ended up struggling financially because where I went to work, the cost of apartments was so high. I asked my parents if they could help me out and they said no. I ended up in a shelter for a few weeks and then rented a dump of an apartment with a friend who found himself in the same situation. They not only helped my siblings through college, which they didn't do for me, but they gave each of them lump sums after they graduated to help them get started in life. They also helped them out when asked over the years. During COVID years especially. They didn't offer any money to help toward mine and my wife's wedding. We didn't ask. But it stood out more when my sister, 28F, got engaged and our parents had mentioned money for all the weddings. Again, it was all except for mine. Only now this has all caught up with them and they are in a very tight spot with money. They're asking me for money too. They told me they need mine and my wife's, help and we should do it because of how great they have been and they never say no to any of us. I told them they never helped me with shit. That they preferred to see me homeless rather than help me out. They argued back that it never happened and I could have asked if things were that bad. I showed them screenshots of texts where I had brought the topic up after asking them verbally. My parents dismissed it and then told me they're still my parents and I'm the most settled and I could afford to help them. I admitted that I could. But I didn't feel they had earned it. My parents called me spiteful and said I should help my parents rather than see them lose everything. I told them to ask the kids who they helped. My siblings were also pissed I said no. They told me mom and dad don't deserve my pettiness. Comment 1. NTA for wanting to set boundaries, especially if you feel like the financial support isn't being given fairly. It's understandable to be frustrated if you're consistently left out while your siblings get help. You have every right to stand up for yourself and prioritize your own needs. Maybe have a candid conversation with your parents about how their actions are affecting you and your willingness to support them. OP comment. A candid conversation with them is a waste of time after everything. I have made many attempts to speak to them about the disparity in treatment between my siblings and me. They only hear what they want to when it comes up. Like how they conveniently forgot about me asking for money when I had nowhere else to go. Comment 2. NTA. If it was good enough for them to do to you, it's good enough for them to receive back in kind from you. They have the children they helped there to support them. They made it clearly not your responsibility by treating you the way they did. They set up the dynamic. This is their proper karma coming home to roost for them. It's not prettiness or revenge, it's the consequences of their past actions finally reaching them as they should. Tell your siblings that this is between them and your parents. They have a history of getting help from your parents. You don't. This is their time to reciprocate. This is their dynamic with your parents, not yours. ETA. I'd also point out to your siblings that if they gave back all the money they received from your parents from graduation onward, your parents would have no financial worries. The same can't be said for you because you received nothing and so have nothing to give back. This is all on them.